Yes, good morning to everyone listening to the sound of my voice. I am your host for today's Shakeup Radio program, Augustine Ferdinand. Today being the 26th of February 2024. Yes, it's getting closer to the end of the month here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Of course, I want to greet everyone who are joining us online, those of you who are listening via the internet, those of you who, of course, tuning in on social media and also listening via Star and Garifuna Radio. Those of you in the Caribbean region, across the world, wherever you are, in the comfort of your homes, in the shops, driving to and from your destination, Phil, in the market, wherever you are, a pleasant morning to you. And as usual, it's an interactive program. The number to call and interact with us here in studio of WEFM is 457-9997. That's 457-9997. That's the number you can call and reach us via landline and also WhatsApp here this morning. I hope that everyone had a blessed, a wonderful, and a fantastic weekend, and that this week will be even better than last week for you. This year, more or less, this week, sorry, given that today is the 26th, we are looking forward to the hosting of the CELAC meeting, Heads of Government meeting. I know started yesterday was the 47th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Guyana. Of course, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves traveled to Guyana to participate in that meeting. And here in St. Vincent and Grenadines, we look forward to CELAC, the hosting of CELAC meeting, Heads of Government meeting, that will take place at Sandals in Bukomen. I just want for persons to know that the CELAC body represents over 650 million people. Yeah, the community of Latin America and Caribbean states, based on its representation collectively of citizens within those countries, is over 650 million people. That's significant in this hemisphere. Or if you want to look at it geographically, it represents countries starting from Mexico, coming all the way down in South America and the Caribbean. So it's an overwhelming majority of the Western Hemisphere. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the head or pro tempore president of CELAC. Now, I know there have been some discussions surrounding CELAC. I listened to Parliament last week, Thursday, and a question was tabled and asked by the Member of Parliament for Central Kingston, Rebel Sinclair Leacock. And he asked the Minister of Finance whether to more or less sort of put a monetary value on what benefits may be derived from St. Vincent and the Grenadines hosting CELAC. He, of course, asked how much money also will be spent. And the Minister of Finance robustly and substantively answered both questions. Now, I mentioned it before that foreign relations cannot simply be reduced to dollars and cents. It cannot. Diplomacy cannot simply be reduced to dollars and cents. And I think that is what the NDP, that is how they look at foreign policy. But that is a wrong way to look at it. Diplomacy or foreign policy allows for something greater, allows for collaboration. It allows for advocacy. It allows for enhanced representation. It allows for solidarity, among other things, in addressing many important matters that affects small island developing states or all states, especially within this hemisphere or Africa and elsewhere. It cannot be simply reduced to whether you're going to get a loan or a factory or some investment. It can't be, or you can't be reduced to that. Of course, through collaboration, through agreements, whether bilateral or multilateral agreements, you will get tangible benefits, whether soft loan or grant or collaboration on a particular investment or initiative. Of course, that will happen. But it is not the only thing that you'll get as a result of engagement on foreign policy. So the NDP and the mere fact that this is how the NDP looks at diplomacy and foreign policy really and truly tells me, as a student of politics, I did IR as well, international relations, that it is another reason why they're not fit. The NDP isn't fit St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because they don't understand, and foreign policy, especially as a small island developing state, is very important, because you don't have a large economy or large military and the like. You're a small island developing state affected by many issues out there. So it becomes very important in any government, your foreign policy, and knowing the collaborations that you have to make, the governments that you have to reach out to, and build relationships. And you can't build relationships if all you're thinking about is material benefits. You can't build a relationship like that. You know, I often say to persons that politics, relationship in politics, is just like a relationship between a man and a woman. And no one you're going to meet is going to want to build a relationship with you if all you're looking for is to get something materially from them. It don't work so. And just as in relationship between people, it must be reciprocal. So you can't always look to want and get, but you have to build a relationship. You have to see what issues that ties both of you together that you can work together on. That's how you build a relationship. And in building a relationship, you also have to build trust. So that thinking, and I listened to the question by the Honorable Sinclair Leacock about whether you get monies from CELAC and these things. And the Minister of Finance had to respond by saying CELAC isn't a banking institution. They don't give out loans and the like, and it really and truly shows me that another example why the opposition isn't fit, not ready. But this is very significant for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because out of this, and we saw it recently, where St. Vincent and the Grenadines was able to bring, and of course, with collaboration, Brazil were able to bring to the table two major oil producers to sign an agreement to ensure and maintain peace within the region. It's very important. And I know sometimes we don't really talk about foreign policy because it's not a quote unquote sexy subject. But it is very important, because if you don't have peace within the region, and especially among two major oil producing states, it has serious repercussions, not only in terms of security, but also in terms of inflation and your pocket. Because any escalation of tensions or outbreak of war in the Southern Caribbean and in Latin America, Trinidad is next door. You're going to have a refugee issue taking place. You also have Guyana that not only produces oil, but they have sugar and the like, and that will affect supply chain issues for commodities within the region, whether it may be rice or sugar. You will have security issues as well, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, and even St. Vincent and Grenadines, because we have large borders and it's difficult to patrol. So all these things, and of course with oil, price of oil will increase, no doubt. And that affects inflation, because a lot of things that we depend on, commodities and the like, and use, they depend heavily on oil. So I sit here and I show you different ways in which already being pro tempore president of CELAC and our ability to engage and bring two friends to the table to ensure peace and stability within our region, and the repercussions that you can have if you don't have peace and stability. That alone is a significant benefit. And of course, the various media entities, Trinidad and Tobago, America, Europe, elsewhere, reported on that, the Argyle Declaration. This event that will take place in St. Vincent will see even the top diplomat in the world coming here, which is the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres. He will be here. You're going to have many heads of governments and invited delegates, including those from European Union, here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And it assists in collaboration of these member states on addressing various issues that affects not only St. Vincent and Grenadines and the region, but also countries like European Union, countries within the European Union in that body. For those who may or may not know, and this is also significant, many CARICOM countries have what's called an EPA agreement with Europe. As a matter of fact, it is under this agreement that member states can engage in trade with European Union countries or member states. It is under this agreement also you have what's called the Schengen Visa Agreement, whereby a citizen of a CARICOM member state can travel to any European Union country without getting a visa. And that is why, for example, the Citizenship by Investment Program depends on this visa agreement, because many persons around the world seek to bypass this requirement that may be required of them given the state that they are from, to buy a CARICOM passport, become a CARICOM citizen, to go to Europe without getting a visa. So that is why the EU is seeking to clamp down and is threatening those states that engage in citizenship investment. And if they don't do something, they'll cut the visa access. And once they cut that visa access, it's problems, because therefore the passport won't be as lucrative in getting, because you won't have visa access to Europe. But there's the EP agreement, which helps to facilitate trade and investment between these two major blocs, CARICOM and European Union. And St. Vincent and Grenadines will once again be in the spotlight. You will have matters concerning, and very significant matters, especially climate change, for example. And again, that's not a sexy topic, but it's very real. And in my opinion, is the most significant existential threat to humanity. And many of you who frequent the Villa Indian Bay Beach area, based on your own observation, can see the effects of climate change, the erosion and disappearance of beaches. Not sure how many persons have observed that. Just go across there and you will see what I'm talking about if you haven't visited in a long time. Salt Whistle Bay in my row, and where that beach could literally cut in half on that island. So you have that as well as another example. Freak storms, having storms or hurricanes outside what's known as the hurricane season. I remember we had one some years ago in March. Of course, a few years back, we had in December, which was very terrible, 2013. So these issues are real. And similarly to, especially for our fisher folk, coral bleaching, as the sea gets warmer, in terms of temperature, coral bleaching increases. And we all know that marine life depends on coral to thrive. And if you don't have sufficient amount of them, our fisher folk can have serious issues, and that will also affect food security. And talking about food security, you also have the issues of severe droughts, which is real again. And our many farmers who, of course, they need water, irrigation purposes and the like, to produce vegetables and the like, will also have serious issues. So food security becomes a major issue. That one thing, climate change. Marine life, seafood, crops, vegetables, tourism, beaches and the like, disappearing. In a nutshell, climate change affects our way of living, affects the economy on the whole, affects life, living, our livelihood, homes as well. And the government, of course, continues to spend significant sums of money in river defenses and coastal defenses. We've seen coastal defenses, Layu, We've seen it, Sanssouci, Georgetown. The government is now embarking, I think it's $14 million thereabout, coastal city defense in Sandy Bay. That's a lot of money. But it's necessary, because if you don't do it, homes can be lost. Property, that is, can be lost. If you don't do it, can affect the economy, commercial activity, trade. And using forums like this CELAC meeting discussion can help not only in providing advocacy for a lot of things, especially climate change related, but in sounding alarm on the need for the world to vigorously address this head on. And let the world know that even though we are not major contributors to global warming and increase of carbon emission within our atmosphere, we are most affected by it. And therefore, there is need for us to lobby different multinational agencies and institutions in assisting small island developing states in addressing this problem. One of the things, again, some persons may not know, but there's the continued discussion on something called a vulnerability index. And I know many small island developing states have been lobbying for agencies, including funding agencies, to consider this, because the thing is, Caribbean states in particular are deemed as middle-income countries. And when you go to certain financial institutions, you don't get the same favorable terms that low-income countries will get in terms of financing, because they see you as a middle-income country, they think you could stand on your own a bit. But the reality is, while we may be middle-income, we are highly vulnerable. Just as in 2013, in one single night, in 12 to 24 hours, 14% of your GDP can be lost as a reality. Someone who was a middle-income family can then see themselves below the poverty line. The house gone, clothes gone, everything gone. They're now they're highly vulnerable. So yeah, we may be middle-income, but we are highly vulnerable, and that must be taken in consideration. And the only how you get these things adopted by institutions abroad is through collaboration. It's through engagement. You can't sit down in a home, whether at the Prime Minister's residence, or even through a Zoom meeting, and get these things. You can't do that. You have to engage. You can't have the mindset that, oh, St. Vincent and Grenadines 150 square miles, a small island developing state, must stay in its corner. No. You can't continue to stay in your corner while you continue to be affected and impacted by these issues. And you can't fight it on your own. You therefore have to engage. You have to engage member states. You have to use whatever forums available to lend your voice. Not only talk about problems, but come up with practical solutions. You have to lobby. That's how you get things done. And being pro tempore president of CELAC also ensures that we put these items, including matters pertaining to climate change, at the top of the agenda. Top priority. Because it not only affects St. Vincent and Grenadines or citizens of St. Vincent and Grenadines, but it also affects citizens within the wider Caribbean, OECS, and Latin America. That's also significant. And therefore, you have to address it. So when I hear some persons speak, it shows me the lack of understanding, including the opposition, the lack of understanding as to some of the issues that we face and diplomacy on a whole and how you use that to try and come up with practical solutions to address them. There's another issue, crime. Everybody talking about crime. Recently, we saw a transnational issue. And based on the facts, I'll only stick to the facts. 3 men escaped Grenada, took a vessel, crossed the borders. Of course, our local authorities caught them. It's a border security. We don't manufacture guns in the region. But I see already in St. Lucia, I think there are only, for so far as 14 homicides, maybe more by now. We don't pass 6. St. Kitts and Nevis, they have a large number as well. We all know about Trinidad. And even though Trinidad, some is the most advanced economy in the region, in CARICOM region, very low poverty, very high employment. They have high crime. They also don't manufacture guns. Bahamas also, very close proximity to the United States of America, tourism dependent, has a chronic gun crime related issue. And Latin America is similar. Drugs, guns. So we're all in the region. See a spike and escalation in gun-related crimes. Of course, we have institutions such as RSS. We have impacts on sharing intelligence across borders. And that is IMPACS, impacts. You can type it in if you have internet and type in RSS impacts and sharing of intel across borders. You have Caribbean Basin Initiative or Ship Rider Agreement, which allows for most member states to have the United States patrol their borders and to apprehend persons who have narcotics and drugs and the like, weapons, etc., on the sea. So you have these collaborations in terms of security. Some people don't know this, but I'm letting you know. I think Barbados is one of the countries who opted out of the Ship Rider Agreement. But many of us in the region, we sign on to it. But still, you have heavy inflow of guns. And therefore, given that this issue is chronic, as a matter of fact, there was a forum held in Trinidad last year where it is now deemed as a health problem. Crime. It's chronic. You therefore have to come together as member states to lobby again, especially to the source of where the guns coming out, to help stem the inflow of guns in the region. You can't do that by sitting down in the financial complex or at the residence of the Prime Minister or in Gauss or Georgetown or stay in St. Vincent and Grenadines and expect something to be done on your behalf by other member states. You can't expect that. You have to, again, collaborate, engage, advocate, lobby. Security, border security is another top priority that will be addressed. Of course, they started addressing, talk about it at CELAC level, but again, quite sure that will be another agenda item. Foreign policy, diplomacy. It also offers the opportunity for various officials here locally, Foreign Affairs Ministry, to engage different governments and delegates. Remember I said you're going to have European Union delegates here, and they're an important trade partner, to address various issues. And those who didn't know St. Vincent and Grenadines will surely know St. Vincent and Grenadines, because this is a function that will be well televised and where various observers from prominent entities and media entities will shed light on St. Vincent and Grenadines. And that is a good thing for us. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to have, emerging from discussions, tangible benefits. Like I said, that happens. But it's not the only thing. It's not the first thing you go and get involved when you're talking about diplomacy. You try to build a relationship, a solid relationship. So we have to understand foreign policy and diplomacy. This government has a strong foreign policy. We've seen it work. We've seen that. This government has a strong foreign policy, and we've seen many initiatives that emerge out of a proactive foreign policy. Before this government, many policies, you didn't hear a lot about foreign policy. The Argyle International Airport is a perfect example as to how you use foreign policy for the benefit of a country. We don't have significant amount of resources. Our main resource reality is you, the people. But out of a proactive foreign policy program, we have an international airport. And you can't have that if you didn't build relationships. And where countries trust you, you build trust, confidence. And that is something the opposition doesn't understand. And if you don't understand foreign policy, if you don't understand diplomacy, then you can't govern a nation. Because governing a small island developing state with limited resources, you're going to need foreign policy to help you. Because you can't address all the issues that you are facing alone. You have to collaborate. You have to engage. And you can't simply be going to people with the first thing in your mind looking for money. You can't. They will watch you a particular how. Like I say, it's like building a relationship with someone. If the first thing is, oh, give me this, give me that, then no, you're not going to build a relationship there. But that is how the opposition looks at foreign policy. Yeah. And remember, the number to call is 457-9997. That isn't how you build relationship diplomacy. You have other issues of course, trade and investment. Ensuring continued peace within the region. They're going to have seeking possibilities of exchanges between nation or member states, whether cultural or the like. You can't only look at this thing thinking of dollars and cents. You can't. So we look forward to the CELAC meeting that will be held here with St. Vincent and Grenadines. The spotlight all cameras on St. Vincent and Grenadines. Small island St. Vincent and Grenadines. I remember when we became the smallest nation to sit on the United Nations Security Council. Some persons again ask, oh, what are we going to get out of that? We ain't going it. We didn't go into it to get money. But, you know, things happen for a reason. Because I'm quite sure it is because we were in the United Nations Security Council, and at that very time of April 9, 2021, when the eruption of volcano occurred, that we saw the United Nations set up a fund specifically for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, really a fund of which you went to Western Union and collect your money, of which the institution out at Diamond, Hospitality Institute, was set up to facilitate World Food Program when you were distributed with food. Like I said, we didn't go into it to get money or anything, but I'm quite sure because of that, we saw the UN came to our sister. There are many countries where volcano are up, you don't see the UN set up relief fund. But that happened for St. Vincent and Grenadines. Now, it's 11:30 here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. Let's take a commercial break, pay some bills, and resume with the program.
The flavor nice, it's locally made. Affordable price, Lord, up to $3 retail. When you see we line with the red and white case, show me what you like. It's cigarette from Empire, Holdings Limited. It's cigarette from Empire, Holdings Limited. With over 60 years experience, hold the best tobacco, best ingredients. Yeah. This is your boy Lou to say, support local, buy your cigarettes from Empire Holdings Limited. 10 cigarettes in a pack for up to $3 retail. Remember, smoking is not for minors.
Lynch Caribbean Brokers is here to innovate how your insurance works for you. Here to design and deliver insurance solutions, proven solutions tailored to your business. Solutions from our global network of insurance experts, which all comes with an indigenous Vinci touch of excellence. We're more than just insurance brokers, SVG. We're your trusted risk advisors. Lynch Caribbean always has your back. Contact us today for insurance solutions, strategic risk advisory, and more. Call 453-3300, email info@lynchcaribbean.com, or visit our office at Beachmont, Kingstown.
Win your share of $50,000 in cash and prizes. Up for grabs, $1,000 cash every week. Home surround sound system, groceries, small appliances, smartphones, Bluetooth speakers, and more. Wait, there's more. You can also be the grand prize winner of a $10,000 Visa cash card. All you have to do is top up $10 or more, sign up for any new service from Flow, pay bills in full, or switch to Flow. And you too can win more.
Get more!
Lanes is your Vincentian family store. We give you quality service and you save more. We add value to your household, that's for sure. At Lanes, our customers always come first. For your family needs, come on in. Construction, household, and clothing. Our friendly staff is ready to help. Get more and save more. Remember at Lanes, our customers come first. We thank you for making Lanes your family store for value. Lanes, your family store for value.
So yes, we are back in studio of WEFM. I am your host, Augustine. Ferdinand, remember, well, those of you who have been online, I understand that we are experiencing some technical difficulties. So if you have a friend wondering what happened to Shakeup, happened to WEFM, tell them they could go on Facebook and type in WEFM SVG and you'll see us on the live, and given, I believe, also on the internet as well. You can listen there, and of course call in via WhatsApp 457-9997. That's 457-9997, and also 99. So yeah, we can't simply think of diplomacy dollars and cents, but of course out of it, at some point you'll get tangible benefit, of course. And as I mentioned before we took the break, that I have no doubt, because of our stint and the good work that we did and our accomplishment at the United Nations Security Council, that the UN set up a special fund for St. Vincent and Grenadines to assist us. And like I said, there are many countries, even during that same year, where eruptions took place. You have Iceland, you have in Hawaii, etc. You have in Asia. You don't see the UN say frequently that I set up a fund for them. And many persons here, depending on the size of the family, collected $300 up to $800 at Western Union. They get the code on the phone and go collect the money. No questions asked. And even at that time, I remember persons saying, oh, well, again, because we're on the Security Council. Oh, watch how much money we're spending to be on the Security Council. Even had the vehicles, they were handed over to the government. Persons collected food. Like I said, I have no doubt that occurred because we're on the United Nations Security Council. You have to build trust, build relationship. But the opposition thinking that they could go before a body or before a member state, and the first thing to ask is about money, and thinking that could be a relationship. And like I said, the same as in any ordinary life. When you meet someone, the first thing, if you go ask about money, you think you're going to build any relationship there? You have to find common ground, common interests, and go from there. And that's what we continue to do here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And like I said, Argyle International Airport is a perfect example as to how diplomacy can assist you in your developmental agenda. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be in the spotlight. The opposition doesn't understand diplomacy. But it's not surprising because none of them, none, of them has had experience in government. And that is why Mr. Parnell Campbell of blessed memory said, experience matters. Experience matters. None of them have experience. So I'm not surprised that they're thinking that with diplomacy, you could just focus on dollars and cents. Or if you could get money from CELAC. Eh? Of course, there are member states of CELAC who have also assisted us significantly. Venezuela, for example, wiped off a good chunk of our debt to them. During the economic crisis, we also received assistance to Petrocarib and subsidized fuel. We can't forget these things. Mexico provides scholarships to Vincentians, same with Cuba. Can't forget these things. Ecuador assisted us in the building of bridges. Never mind the NDP at the time said, oh, we bring Ecuadorians to spy on our bananas. Them kind of foolishness. Yeah, you got from the opposition. Oh, we brought Ecuador. I remember Patel Matthews. Yes, Patel Matthews was then MP. So we brought Ecuadorians to spy on our bananas. Nonsense. People came here, they assisted us in building bridges. You talk about bring people to spy on bananas. There's this sort of foolishness to get from the opposition. I can sit here and show you how different member states in CELAC, Latin America, for example, has assisted us. Within our own CARICOM as well. Government and people of Trinidad and Tobago assisted us with EIA, assisted us with homes. They have a whole village called Manning Village, after the former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah? So, the opposition has no understanding of how this thing works. None. But diplomacy matters. It matters, especially for a small island developing state, because we have limited resources. And when you have limited resources, you simply have to ensure that you have a robust foreign policy. And CELAC meeting here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is just another step for us. I'm quite sure none of you, those of you listening, would ever thought that you live to see something like this. St. Vincent and Grenadines being a member of United Nations Security Council, we're saying. You would have never thought that. Never in your dreams. But I see we have a call coming in. Good morning, caller.
How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning. So you're talking about experience in government, right?
Yes.
I have a very, very strong suspicion that is precisely why they want to retain Bernard Wiley. Somebody who's been in government a long time ago and might be able to
offer guidance
in certain areas. I remember Bernard being the MC of that meeting in New York when they had the town hall meeting with Mr. Yusuf. And one of my old friends from Mexico stood up and asked Mr. You know?
Yes.
Oh, also, okay, probably different call coming in. Mr. Eustace, what is 5 to 15-year plan, economic development plan for St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
Yes.
When he told him, act Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Bernard, the look on his face as if he'd be happier.
I think he
if
was
court could open.
he was the chair of that meeting.
Yeah, he was
Yes.
he was the MC.
Was the chair of that meeting.
I think he was like, oh my God, earth open dick. He was very embarrassed. I mean, he was in no way expecting that. From a man whose forte is economic.
And who was
Like
a
I
permanent
always
secretary, yes, and former prime minister.
Now, the Caribbean Development, I saw wherever he was. Look, if Dr. Gonzalez had been asked that question, he'd be talking for 2 hours. He'd be talking ideas on that question. These fellas are clueless.
Yep.
And about this foolishness about what convention is going to get out of being on the Security Council and CELAC, etc., etc. Look, if the smallest country in the world, half the size of Malta somewhere, had been that country, you would have heard same NDP people congratulate him and saying how wonderful it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
If one of our neighboring islands was the host of CELAC, same thing. What we have to understand after these 23 years, is that NDP's policy is this, in a nutshell. If it's good for SVG, it's bad for NDP.
Yep.
Anything, any initiative of the government that is good for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they see it as being bad because the ambers of the party is what matters to them. It's not about the country.
Yep.
It's about the party. And once it has Gonzalez that's leading it, then it's no good. Automatically. I mean, I could never talk about this gentleman in Cali in 2005, end of the first term during the election season going into the second term. And we had this back and forth with NDP supporter. Oh, we do that. And I would just keep talking about projects and programs and so on, none of which he could refute. Yes. Frustration is the point. But honest enough to say this is rare motive. He said to me, watch now. It could bring gold, yeah. One toe. So, yeah, I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You're wasting time. I look at some of these, look, in the Bible it talks about when you go to witness to a place, even in the village or wherever, and they turn you down, they don't want to listen, whatever, just your shoes off and move on. Some of these people because they're totally unchangeable. No matter what you do, their mind is set.
Yep.
Because of some hatred of Ralph Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
If the same things were done by the greatest thing since sliced bread. Ralph Gonzalez do it? Look what? As a matter of fact, one of them had said that concerning the Constitution reform. It's good, but not under us.
Yep.
Everyone said the consensus.
And that alone tells you they don't love country. They don't care about country. It's all about
No,
party.
the sovereignty of the body is what it's all about. And getting in power.
Yep.
And the more they're in opposition, the more desperate they are to get in power because time is running out for a lot of them.
Yep.
So a lot of foolishness that's here. But look, I'm trying to forget out. Yusuf went Friday, went with Miss John in the women's conference, right?
Yes.
So you have Laverne and you have Kate. But Friday went along with Miss John
Yep.
for women's conference. So what happened to the other two women? They visit. But then something curious happened. In his absence, we can call the press conference.
By the time he didn't even wait to let the man land down properly and settle in.
Fresh legs on the convention and 3 empty suits sitting behind some light.
Yep.
And they could impress people. Look, you have to have strength. I remember one time because he used to keep going to these Memorial Day.
Yes.
He complained because Eustace won't go. And then he complained that he can't go there representing Mr. Eustace and he wants to go there in his own right. And the very next Memorial Day, Eustace showed up and not tell him. So when he was expecting to go to the read, there was no read for him to make because I'm there, representing I want to you just say, okay, I'll go up. I won't tell you. And he was just there, joopy, good friend. Oh my goodness, what happened to me here? Anyway.
Yes. Thank you for your contribution, man. Thank you. Yes. I mean, that shows you how these fellas, they're woeful and lost. Woeful and lost. And how they are so divided within that party. And you can't have a divided political party in government. No. Can't. You notice another thing, the people hardly just talk about foreign policy. The only thing they talk about is cutting ties with Taiwan and embracing one China policy. That is the only thing you hear so far. You don't hear them talk about climate change. You don't hear them talk about border security or regional issues. You don't hear them talk about these things. Why is that? Why is that? It gives you a snapshot as to how they would operate if you were to give them a chance. It gives you a snapshot. Think about it. You never hear the opposition. I showed you early in the program how the matter putting into climate change issues are very important and is a serious and real existential threat to humanity. And something as important as that, you don't even hear the NDP talk about. Something that affects food security, tourism, economy, livelihoods. You don't hear the NDP talk about it. Southern Grenadines, Myro, the beach could split in half, Salt Whistle Bay. You don't hear the NDP talk about climate change. That gives you a snapshot as to how they'll operate. Things that they would prioritize if you are to give them the opportunity to govern. The only thing you would normally hear them carry on about is selling passport. That to them is the top is priority number 1. Priority number 2, priority number 3, number 4, and number 5, selling passport. Nothing else. That is something that they would harp on every single moment they could get. And now, you're hearing them because the thing have some issues. I talk about the European Union clamping down, the United States clamping down. Revenues in these member states drying up. Yeah? So what they're doing now is simply criticize. And when they don't criticize, they come back and tell you, well, we supported it all along. That's how they operate now. That's how the NDP operate now. Yeah. That's what they're doing now. And hoping that you will buy it. But my question is, if you say that you supported it all along, why change the government? Because clearly, You're simply endorsing the policies of the government, so why change the government? Just as how they turn around now, they criticize the sandals investment and they're still trying to find ways of how they could criticize it. But at the same time, they're telling you they supported it all along. Even though they tell you, they say that the government shouldn't use the land there for tourism and resort development, and what about the farmers, and yeah man, all of them think they hear about Bokomentary and how you need to cap investments. Remember, that is what Leacock said. But now, oh, we supported it all along. We supported it all along. Just as how when Daniel come and say what, that mainland St. Vincent doesn't have a tourism plant to have an international airport. Then he turn around and say, oh, I never once criticize the building of Argyle International. That's how they operate. Criticize, then later on they tell you, oh, we supported it all along. Well, hello. If you support it, then why change government? I continue to ask that. There's another thing. So we're coming down on time. I listened to a particular program this morning talking about sandals and, tow operation. But the thing is, we operate in a free market. We are signatory to the Treaty of Chaguaramas, which allows not only for the free movement of people, but also free movement of capital, business. Vincentians can invest in a CARICOM country, and so too can another CARICOM investor invest in St. Vincent. It's free market. It's free trade. Now, I hear some persons again continue to bash sandals. And mind you, sandals will be looking to employ 575 people on the 27th of next month. 575. And I hear the discussion this morning. Well, sandals now, they're going to have tow operators come to St. Vincent. Island Routes, which is a sandals exclusive tow company. Now, my thing is, first of all, like I said, we operate in a free market economy. Sandals, of course, it's a brand. It has standards. Very important, it has standards. One of the good things about sandals coming here is that it will act as a push factor to have other stakeholders in the tourism sector to up the game. Because obviously, in a free market environment, such as the one we are in, you're going to want to up your game so that you don't be left out of the market. That's how the market works. And so too, we have foreign tours. They do a fantastic job, in my view. My brother in Tequila as well, he has something good going. So tours locally have to up the game in offering, not just scaring people to see and take photos, but to have experience. You have to up our game. So that is one of the other benefits that I see from sandals. It will force other stakeholders in the sector to lift the game. The second thing is, not everybody, obviously, who go to sandals will take this tour company. Not everybody. As a matter of fact, the other good thing is, because of the billions of hits out there of St. Vincent and Grenadines, not everyone who see St. Vincent advertised by Sandals will come and stay at Sandals. That is another thing. Because people, of course, yes, they see the advertisement. You see how nice St. Vincent is. Yes, it's marketed by Sandals. But you may say, boy, me have Sandals money, but I'll still go to St. Vincent nonetheless. You would say that. There are customers who will say that. Out of the billions of hits Sandals put out there, they will say, well, boy, I have Sandals money, but I still will go St. Vincent, and they look up online, different hotels in St. Vincent, and they book a room. And that's another way how our own local tour operators here and taxi operators can benefit because of the marketing budget of Sandals as well. And of course, they have tourism authority who do their own thing also. So I see this thing, oh, well, because of this company, what's going to happen to our local tour operators? Hello. Obviously, they will up the game, one. But two, they will continue to benefit because not everybody who sees St. Vincent and Grenadines advertised will come and stay at Sandals, because some may not necessarily have Sandals money. And the other thing I'll touch on before I leave here again, because I heard it this morning, that the local farmers and the fishers will benefit. I don't know how much time I can say it for people to understand this part. I'll ask the question. So where Rainforest Seafood getting the food product, the fish product from? Where they getting it from? They getting it from Grenada? Or St. Lucia? Or Barbados? Where they getting it from? And this is how, again, the free marketing. You know how many times I hear some people say the government wasn't saying nothing. You know how many times the government tell people that Sandals will need over 750,000 pounds of seafood? You know when someone you say that ain't gonna happen. I remember I listened to this on Hot 97 in the morning and say, oh, all the hairline now, 750. Even the visits, they say, coming to stats and they say that ain't gonna happen. It's a gimmick. Now all of a sudden is a problem. You're talking about government never telling. Man, you know, it's made the here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. But sometimes, if we listen more and stop be susceptible to a lot of the foolishness some people say out there, it will be better for us. But again, sometimes, you know, we listen to a lot of the foolishness out there and lies and fall for the deception, and we don't prepare ourselves. We say, oh, they're telling lie. Well, hello. Next month, Sandals here, open. You still get an opportunity. Position yourself. With that, we're at the end of the program. Again, apologize for those of you who, you know, you have your friend who may not be able to call with you and say, hey, you hear what they're talking about? But tomorrow, until that time, take care and have a blessed afternoon.